What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of your favorite podcast, CTL Speaks. I am your host of this episode, Alvin Johnson, and I am joined today by the two of our stars of our season 47 opener, a regional premiere in our area. Beautiful, the Carole King musical. So we will be here talking about Beautiful with some of the actors today. We're very excited to have them on the show. Very excited to get their input and see what they're bringing to these characters. So if you're excited, like I'm excited, that's a good thing. We will be right back in just a second. But for now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. All right, here we go. Let's bring him in. The stars, two of our stars of Beautiful, the Carole King musical. We have today with us Mr. Spencer Millay and Miss Destiny Lopez, who are playing Jerry Goffin and Carole King herself. Welcome to the show, lady and gentlemen.
Hello.
Thank you. Hi.
Hello. How are we feeling tonight?
Pretty good.
Excited.
Good. Excited for the podcast?
For the podcast, yes, and rehearsals, I guess.
Yeah. How is everything going so far?
It's going good. It's just
I
think it's a lot. It's a lot for me.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, it can be a lot, but it's rewarding, so it makes it easier. So
Well, I think, and we'll get into some of this, but I think it makes it so interesting because you both are very young, and in the story, they're the characters are around your age, at least for part of the story, right? I know we cover a span of time in this production, but it has to just be very interesting for you as young actors to be playing these people who have lived so much life and whose story carry on, and it's very different. And we'll get to my first question actually while we're on this conversation. Have either of you ever played a role in a biopic? This isn't exactly a biopic because it's not a movie, but have you ever been in a production where you are playing a character who is a real person who has actually lived?
I've only done it once. When I was in high school, I played Frank Abagnale Jr. in Catch Me If You Can.
Okay.
That was the only time I've ever played like a real character, and that was also pretty difficult.
Yeah, you drawing from like historical perspectives while also having like a real person who has really existed, because for the most part everyone in this production was a real person, right? Like every single character in the story, like Carole King is real, she is still alive, Jerry, Cynthia, Barry, all of these people are real people. And so you have both a disadvantage of not trying to copy too much of that person who actually exists, while also having the benefit of being able to look at those people and draw from their lives, which I think is an interesting perspective. So how much of that in your own discoveries of who your characters are have you looked at? Carole King, Destiny, I'll go to you for example first. Have we looked at her videos of her performing or her in her process, or has that any of that happened for you?
Yeah, I've looked at a lot about her. I first kind of started with her music because I didn't know a lot of her music. I knew Natural Woman and I knew a couple more, but I was like, wow, I can't believe she actually wrote this. And I kind of decided to dig into it a little bit more and her life. And even after, age 30, when the show ends, she still had so much life and so much story that is not included in this show. So she's a very beautiful person. And I kind of just started looking at her music, her talking about her life, and also Cynthia and Barry, which is really cool too, to take from that.
Yeah. Spencer?
I watched a lot of videos on particularly Jerry's battle with mental illness. That's one of the big parts in this show for my character and for Carole's and for Destiny's character as well. I mainly just watched a lot of interviews about the whole group, like Barry, Cynthia, Carole, and Jerry talking about his battle with mental illness, because I that was the hardest part to tackle with this show.
And so for both of you, what was the draw to audition, to even at the very least audition for a show like this, where we're dealing with such heavy topics, as you've discussed, with mental illness and just these real people who have gone through real things? What drew you to Beautiful?
Well, I kind of wasn't drawn to Beautiful. I was kind of asked, like, hey, Destiny, will you try out? And I was like, I don't know. Maybe I should try it. Maybe I shouldn't. I decided to try it. And I watched the show on YouTube and stuff like that. And I ended up, like, realizing that I really liked it. And the music and her life story. So, yeah, now I'm at this point where I'm kind of still being drawn to the musical. At first I wasn't, but now I'm like, wow, this is actually amazing. Like, to be able to tell this story and just enjoy it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was on the fence about auditioning for a long time, and then I was asked if I could just send in a tape to, see what happens. And I did, and I originally auditioned for Barry Mann because the music for his character is so awesome. But then when I got the call about Jerry, I was very excited because it was primarily an acting part more than a singing part, which I haven't done before. And that was the part that was challenging the most about the character. And I always like to challenge myself. So I feel like the challenging parts in this show is what drew me to it.
That's awesome. Speaking of some of those challenging parts, what is it like? And Spencer, we'll stay with you since you brought up the word challenge. What part of the characters in themselves is the most challenging to put on stage? Because we're talking about characters who've gone through so much, and there's some really emotionally charged moments in the show. So what is your process? How do you get ready to step on stage to do those moments, to act out those moments without kind of losing yourself in the character, without losing yourself, if that makes sense?
Yeah. The first thing I did was, as soon as I got the call, I called my sister, who's a therapist down at Crossroads, and I was like, tell me everything you can about bipolar disorder, which was the disorder that he had. And she told me everything that she could about it. And I basically wrote down every little thing that she said. And I tried to look at each scene and try to pull all the subtle things that I could, because I feel like the subtleties in this show, those make the hard part. Those make the show so hard, is the subtle parts between, particularly my character and Destiny's character. So pulling those was probably the hardest. Like the big emotional scenes were hard, just because they're big emotional scenes, but the subtle parts were also really hard. So I asked a lot of questions, and I kind of just sat back and listened. That's essentially what I did. I don't know about it.
Well, I think what's challenging for me is that I'm a very empathetic person. So sometimes I stop and think. I'm like, wow, she actually went through this. And how would I feel if I went through this? And I kind of just have to ask myself that question. And I feel everything that's going on. So it's difficult, but at the same time, it's very liberating. It's like to feel all these emotions, to know how she felt, to know how other people have felt before. Because this has happened to so many other people too. Mental illness, cheating, difficulty in relationships is not uncommon. So it's just amazing to feel that, but it's also very difficult because, emotions are difficult.
They are, and they have their way of sneaking out when you least expect it. And so I'm very excited to get a chance to not only see this production for myself, but for audiences to see the nuances, like you've mentioned, between Carole and Jerry. Can you two speak to the relationship, if they're not familiar with Carole King? And I know we haven't really talked about the show in itself and what the story is about. It's called Beautiful, the Carole King musical. So, we can assume it's about Carole King and her life. And so can you start and just give us some background on who Carole King is, who she was. She's still alive, so we know we can Google her if we'd like. But who is she and what makes her story so interesting? And then can you both just talk about the relationship a little bit between Carole and Jerry?
Right. So Carole King is a singer-songwriter. She created so much music that I didn't even know about. And her story, it's kind of difficult. It's like she was a normal person, but she went through all these challenges, kind of, from her relationships, mental illness, to finally being okay with herself and letting herself free with her music. And their relationship, Jerry and Carole were husband and wife. And you can see at the beginning of the relationship, it's beautiful, it's youthful, it's sweet, but then obviously Jerry has a mental illness, and with that comes difficulties. So we see their relationship progress as his mental illness worsens, and as he gets better, as he worsens again. So it's this really beautiful dynamic that kind of changes throughout the show, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah, and I would like to just add, Carole is like a fixer when it comes to every single relationship she has in the show. She always tries to not like be nosy, but she tries to fix everything around her to try to make everybody else feel better. And Jerry is a guy who is in constant need of fulfillment, further fulfillment. So he's constantly trying to not only fit in with the evolving landscape that is music at the time, but also try to be unique and kind of push what music is. And he struggles with that due to his mental illness as well, and that leads to a lot of turmoil between the two.
Can you all speak to, and we're going to get a chance to hear from Hannah and Tim, who play Cynthia and Barry as well. But before we get to that episode, can you two talk about the relationships that we share between this group of people? Because we have these four people whose stories all intertwine. Obviously, Carole and Jerry are married for a time, and we see that. But what are the relationships to Cynthia and Barry, and how do their stories influence both of your characters as well?
I feel like, I mean, of course, they're all four of them are friends. They all work together, but because they all work together in a competitive business, they are very competitive, and that subtly leads to a lot of distance between, particularly Jerry and the rest of the group. Because although healthy competition can be healthy, it can also lead to unhealthy competition, which I feel like it kind of starts to lead to. I don't want to give too much away, but yeah, so that's essentially like a little snippet. I don't know if you have anything to.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult as the musical progresses. You can definitely see the relationship change. But I think overall, the relationship becomes very beautiful because.
Can you hold me out for a minute?
Of course.
This is 100 West 3rd Street, but I'm looking for 3rd floor. I have a delivery to make.
Third floor?
The third floor would be up the
Yeah,
stairs.
be up the stairs.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's for Justin Octavio. You ever hear of him?
It's the mayor's office.
Yeah.
It would have to be someone in the mayor's office. So
No problem, man.
Sorry.
perfectly okay. It happens.
Duty calls.
The beauty of sharing a building. We'll cut that part out of the episode. So what were you saying?
Well, you can see that throughout the show, their relationship is very beautiful and caring and loving. They obviously love each other very much. So even though they have that competition, in the end, they still love each other. And I think somebody mentioned this before, even after the whole thing between Carole and Jerry, Barry and Cynthia and Jerry are still friends.
Oh yeah.
And
Tim
Carole
mentioned that to us.
still loves Jerry after everything that.
Oh
they've been
yeah,
through.
After
So-
everything, there's all love and respect for each other.
So it's a beautiful dynamic throughout the show to see.
Yeah. It's very real too.
Yeah, realistic, human.
Yeah.
which I think is in a musical that is about real people, and all four of these people were able to work at least partly on this production. In the writing of it, well, their music obviously was written into the show, and so I would imagine that there were times where their stories, or Carole got a phone call and said, "Hey, we're writing this musical about you." I think she might have had a hand in it in some form or fashion in the actual writing of the show.
Mhm.
But just imagining a world where, like, hey, when you were going through, when this happened, what were you feeling? How does your character feel? How did Carole feel in that moment? And so it's very interesting that we really get to see these real people who really exist and had these experiences and probably had their words and their actual thoughts in the story, which I think is pretty cool. And so we're talking about music. Carole King is a singer-songwriter, and most of her pain she put into her music. And so we have, classics like "I Feel the Earth Move," "You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman," so all these songs that probably we've grown up hearing or at some point you've heard in your life. And so what is it about the music of Beautiful that you think will attract audiences to the show?
I think, well, it attracted me because I loved the 70s, the 60s and 70s. I love that music. But it's also because her music is about, it's real. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know, it just feels real to me. Like it's not like what we hear today. I don't know how to
Yeah, I
explain it.
feel like with the musical, it adds context to a lot of songs that you didn't know. One, you didn't know that Carole King wrote it.
Mm.
And two, you didn't really know the story behind the songs. So I feel like,
Or at least people from our age and not people
yeah,
that grew
yeah,
up with
definitely from our age.
people who grew up
and
with
even,
Carole
and even
King.
some people
Right.
that are older generations. I just feel like it takes these songs and it makes them into something more than just something that you can listen to. It's like something that you can connect with.
Yeah.
Which I feel like all of her
That's-
songs are about connection and like life. So I feel like it
Mhm.
helps. Yeah.
No, yeah, that's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know how to put it
Yeah.
into words.
Words.
Words are only kind of important. So what is your favorite song in the show, either as a song in itself to hear someone else sing, or your favorite song that you sing? What song speaks most to you? What's your favorite song from the musical?
Oh, geez. My favorite to sing, like that I'm actually in, is probably Pleasant Valley Sunday, just because it's at a point where Jerry is very conflicted. But I feel like my favorite song just to like watch and listen to is definitely Hannah and Tim's duet
Mhm.
in the middle of Act 1. What's it?
I forget. There's so many songs.
Yeah, there's so many songs.
But I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, she has a beautiful duet with Tim. Yeah, and it's amazing. It's just all their songs, all of Barry and Cynthia's songs are very fun for me to watch.
Very fun, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so I love all the music, but I think It's Too Late and I Feel the Earth Move are my favorites. I think It's Too Late because she writes this after a big change with Jerry.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say what,
Yeah.
in case people don't know.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, and I don't know. The lyrics, it's just like it just shows you what she was thinking and what she's experiencing in her head, and then I Feel the Earth Move. I think it's just fun, and you can just dance to it and vibe, and it'll just make you feel better. And I'm glad it's at the end of the show because I
it's
need
the current
that
call
relief.
number.
I think we all need that relief.
Yeah,
after Act
definitely.
2.
Yeah, definitely after Act 2. It's nice that we get to like
Just vibe.
vibe. Yeah.
So, and don't try not to give too much away because, of course, we want people to come and see the show. But what's your favorite moment from the show where something just clicks for you? Maybe it's something that happened in the rehearsal process. But what is the one thing that you just can't wait for audiences to get a chance to see because it just moves you so much in the story?
I think
Jeez.
for me, it's Carole finally standing up for herself.
Yeah.
I'm like, she's
Yeah.
amazing.
Like, get it, sis. You know?
Yeah, she finally is like, okay, I'm sick of this, and she tells Jerry this, and she leaves, and I think it just makes me feel like amazing. Like, wow, she did that. If she can do that, I can do that. Other people can do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like for me, there's a scene in Act 2, and I don't want to give too much away, where it's a complete shift of character for Jerry. Because before, there are some moments where he's upbeat, and there are some moments when he's not. And there's this one scene in Act 2 where, for the first time ever, he's just completely in a bad place. And it's one of the hardest scenes I've ever had to do, just because of the material. So I feel like that scene is probably the one that excites me the most.
Destiny, what's it been like getting a chance to work? This is specifically for you because I know you better than I know Spencer, and I know that this show has a particularly special meaning for you because you get a chance to work with your high school director again, Mrs. Ellen Boyer, who is directing the production. So what's that been like, just to step on stage again in a new place, but just getting an opportunity to work with her again?
It's been cool. I didn't think I was going to work with her again, but life is weird. You know, I wasn't even planning on doing a show this summer. I was just going to work and, you know, help my family out. And then I was asked to try out, and I guess here I am.
It's good to know you like her more than you like me, because I try to get you to auditioning too, and you said no to me. So I don't, you know, I just seem to remember a time when I asked you to audition for a show, and you also said no. So I'm just, you know,
so bad. Trust me, I wanted to do it so bad, but my parents were like, "No, you shouldn't do it." And so obviously, I listened to them, and
it's okay. There's no hard feelings at all, none whatsoever.
You're lying. You're lying. I don't trust you. Mm-hmm.
What do you hope? This is for both of you again. What do you hope is the thing, the biggest thing that audiences will take away from Beautiful?
Ooh, that's a loaded one.
I think that no matter what happens in life, life is beautiful. It has its hardships. It has its up and downs and happy moments. But overall, what happens to you is beautiful. It's your life. So that's what I think, at least. Or maybe it's because Carole King was just a beautiful person and she was kind and loving. You know.
Yeah, I feel like whenever I think of this show, I think of a quote that Tom Hanks said. I don't know where he said it, but he said, "This too shall pass." And I always think about that quote when I think about this show, because particularly for my character, he goes through a lot, and he has been through a lot, same as Carole. And they somehow find a way to keep moving and keep having a healthy relationship despite the things that happen in their life. And Jerry, just as a person, stresses about so much, and I do the same thing. So that's how I relate to him. But yeah, I just think that people can learn that, this too shall pass. So.
Which, of course, we know was not originally Tom Hanks, but we'll give him credit for having said
Well,
it.
that's where I heard it. Okay,
that has been around since the dawn of millennia, but that's okay.
Just saying.
That's perfectly okay. And just to kind of round it all out for us, and just make sure to put a little button on it. What for you is, I guess we've kind of already talked about it, but what should audiences look forward to in the show? Because we talked about what we hope they get from the show, and that was kind of an understanding of the deepness of the story. But why should audiences come and see the show? What about it makes it something beautiful that they should come and see?
I feel like, well, one, the music is timeless. And with the help of the music, it makes the story timeless. Because even though it takes place in a specific time period, it doesn't really feel like it, because the story is just it feels like it can happen anywhere, anytime, and to anybody. Because Carole and Jerry were just people; they were normal people. They weren't any like Cynthia, Barry, Jerry, and Carole are all there. There's nothing like special about them at the beginning, but they kind of show how unique and how awesome they really are. And that's why I feel like people should come see the show, just because how timeless it is.
I agree. I think the relationships, just come witness the dynamic between all of these characters, and even the characters that are not the principals. The relationships are so crazy and beautiful and different and real, which is, I think, what I really like about this show. I'll add. But yeah, the relationships and the music, definitely, like you said.
So speaking of the characters, and we'll just do this last thing real quick. Speaking of the other characters in the show, tell us a little bit about the other characters. So we know a large percentage of the show centers around these four people: Carole, Jerry, Barry, and Cynthia. But there are other relationships in the show that we see. There are other groups of people that we should see. Out of the ensemble cast, what are we looking at? What kind of things should we be looking for? So we've got the Drifters, we've got the Shirelles. Who are they? Why are they important to the story? All of the other singers. We get like the Righteous Brothers at some point. How does all of that? How do all these groups of people tie into Carole's story?
Yeah, I feel like, well, the people that are in the story that are the famous singers that we get to see, they're all singers that either Cynthia, Barry, Jerry, or Carole wrote music for, and particularly. The Drifters and the Shirelles, I feel like, are of course the most important, because Carole King as a person was one of the most beautiful people to have written so many songs for people of color, which was kind of unheard of at the time, because she wrote so much for so many different groups of people, and I feel like just her being as amazing of a person as she was kind of connects all of the ensemble members and connects all the music that is written, and it makes all the ensemble characters feel very intertwined with the leads, which I really like about the show.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know if that answers your question or
I think it did.
Okay,
cool. It did.
Yeah.
Destiny, do you have anything you wanted to add?
I agree. I feel like the Shirelles are definitely much more intertwined with Jerry and Carole's story, which you'll see if you come, everybody. But yeah, that's something to look out for, I think, that relationship between the Shirelles and Jerry and Carole, which Carole wrote music for them and Jerry. So yeah. It's kind of difficult to explain without seeing it.
Yeah.
Without seeing it and without the opportunity of being in the seats. And so this is your opportunity. Buy now. Tickets are available for our season 47 regional premiere, Beautiful, the Carole King musical. The performance dates are August 18th through the 20th and August 24th through the 27th. So make sure you stop by ctlshows.com and purchase your tickets for Beautiful, the Carole King musical. Woo. All right. So while we kind of wrap up the episode here, there's a game we like to play with our guests. And I didn't tell you about this because that's what I do. And so we're going to play a quick game. It's not going to require any thinking of you except to give me an answer as soon as I ask for it. Okay, so we're going to play a game that we like to call Fast Five. Okay, we're going to lighten it up a little bit. We know the story of Beautiful is kind of heavy, and so we're just going to lighten the episode up a little bit, give our audiences something fun to listen to here at the end. So this game is called Fast Five. Okay, so I have 5 questions for each of you to answer. They're the same question. And as soon as you can, provide me with an answer. You don't have to explain why. You don't have to go into a soliloquy or a monologue. Just whatever is on your heart, whatever's on your mind to answer the question, share that answer with us. Okay, you ready? All right, question number 1. What is your favorite musical?
In the Heights.
Pippin.
Two very different answers and very interesting. Good answers. All right, question number 2. What is, in your opinion, we promise that feelings won't be hurt too badly. I haven't heard of anyone getting injured for sharing their answers on this question. What is the most overrated musical in your opinion? Overrated.
I like every
Oh my
musical.
God, I don't
I
know.
guarantee you there are musicals you don't like.
I don't know. I'd say 6 for me.
Oh no, I like
Just because I
Six.
wish that it was longer.
That's a good
It
point.
should
90
be
minutes is 90 minutes is fast.
I don't think
Yeah.
I have an answer. I
You
don't know.
gotta have an answer, Destiny. There's no outs here.
Destiny, come on.
Pick one. It's that one that you want to say that you're afraid of the opinion of people will,
Yeah.
that change you. You know it's there.
I don't, because I like every musical.
What's a yeah?
I'm sorry.
You're terrible at this game.
I'm
I don't know
sorry,
how you could fail.
I don't know. I'm sorry. The Wizard of Oz. That's
Whoa.
annoying. That show's annoying
I mean,
sometimes.
respect for that
Yeah.
answer. That's a
I love
It's just-
every
I see it
musical,
all
but
the time, and I'm like, we
It
get
is
it.
done a lot.
We get it. Like,
the other one that I would say would probably be Footloose because that one's done a lot too.
yeah.
But yeah.
all right. Next question. In your opinion, what is the most underrated musical? The one that you just feel like should have more people loving it and have more attention.
Oh, Hunchback.
That's
Hunchback
a
for
great
sure.
answer. That's a great
It
answer.
should have gone to Broadway and it never did.
God.
It's a great answer. I love Hunchback.
Dogfight.
Oh, that one's so good. That one's so good. It's a great one.
Good answer. All right, here we go. Next, what is your dream role in a musical? If you could be anyone ever.
Mimi from Rent. I just love Rent.
Oh my God, I have two. I have two. Probably Jesus and Jesus Christ Superstar, and Christian and Moulin Rouge.
Two again, very different shows. That's fantastic. All right, and this one is a tough one. Maybe you've never thought of this before, but maybe you have. Who is your dream actor to co-star with in a Broadway production? If you could be on stage with anyone, who would it be? And they don't have to be alive. Could have been. It's a dream world, so.
She hasn't been on stage, but she's like an actress. Would that count?
Sure.
Cynthia Erivo. Wait, she hasn't been on
yes,
stage.
she has been on stage.
Yeah,
I saw her in The Color Purple on Broadway.
Yeah,
she
Color
was
Purple.
absolutely.
Yeah.
She was in. Yeah, she's absolutely more than incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, she's amazing.
I'd say Bryan Cranston. He did a Broadway play, and he's just so good at everything. So I'd say him.
A very interesting answer. Bryan Cranston and Cynthia Erivo. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this episode of CTL Speaks. Thank you so much, Spencer and Destiny, for sharing your time with us and for sharing your opinions. We really appreciated your insight into the characters, and we really hope that audiences took something away from this and are really drawn to the story of Carole King and Barry and Jerry and Cynthia and all of the other characters that we see in this story and how their stories intertwine with one another. And so we just wanted to kind of give us a shout out here. For one final time, Destiny and Spencer, let audiences know why they should see the show.
The music's awesome and timeless.
The relationships are beautiful.
All right, you heard it from them, folks. You heard it from Carole and Jerry themselves. Tickets on sale now for our season 47 premiere here at the Community Theater League. Beautiful, the Carole King musical. Performance dates August 18th through 20th and August 24th through 27th. Get your tickets now on sale at ctlshows.org. That's ctlshows.org. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. We appreciate you.